What is up, everybody? It's Animac here for AnimeUproar, and today I will be breaking down the insane twists that just took place in the Boku no Hero story, including an unexpected time skip that could be the beginning of the biggest and most intense war arc in the history of Boku no Hero. We just learned the true nature of Nana Shimura's quirk, and we got some shocking information about what's about to happen in the story, so let's get into it. If you enjoyed the Boku no Hero content on this channel and you want to see more, please leave a like to let me know. And if you happen to be new to AnimeUproar, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications. If you want to get notified and not have YouTube hiding our videos from you, then you have to go through the process of clicking the notification bell and then clicking off the option that says all. You can also hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at AnimeUproar for all the latest Boku no Hero news and updates. Finally, this chapter will of course include Boku no Hero manga spoilers. We're talking about the very latest happenings in the manga, so please proceed with caution, you have been warned. Ever since Black Whip started to manifest within him, and ever since he learned that he would be manifesting the quirks of the other previous One For All users, Deku has been doing his best to master Black Whip while also researching all of the other previous One For All users. We know that One For All comes from All For One's brother, who had a latent quirk inside of him that allowed him to pass quirks on to someone else. After All For One transferred a stockpiling quirk into his brother, the stockpiling quirk combined with the brother's transferring quirk in order to create what we know today as One For All. But as hard as he's been trying, Deku has been unable to find a single clue or piece of information about the two One For All users who came after All For One's brother. There is just no information on record about the second and third One For All users, and All Might believes that this is primarily because the previous users would have had no idea that their quirk factors could be retained within One For All and passed on to future generations. If they had known that their quirks would have been used in the future, they likely would have left some helpful information for future One For All users. But along with his research, Deku has also been working hard to tame and master the already manifested new quirk known as Black Whip. He still can't use it for more than a second, but even with his limited mastery of the new quirk, Deku is able to use it for support. Black Whip has made Deku more agile, and it has increased his range of potential attacks, which I'm sure is going to prove to be extremely useful in the near future. The name of Black Whip's original user was Daigoro Banjo, whose hero name was Lariat. For his part, Bakugo isn't too impressed with the previous One For All users since none of them had the kind of reputation that All Might had. They were not known to stand at the top of the hero world as fearless symbols of peace and order. Because the previous One For All users were just a bunch of nobodies from Bakugo's perspective, he is skeptical that these previous users had quirks that were particularly strong or useful. However, All Might explains that in the past, when All For One was at the height of his power, he would simply stomp out all strong heroes before they ever had a chance to shine and become famous for their powers and heroic deeds. The previous users of One For All were not the chosen ones. They were not celebrities or internationally recognized heroes. They were just noble people who did their best to fight against evil and who willingly gave their lives in battle against All For One. As Deku's research shows, all of the previous users died rather young, which demonstrates just how much sacrifice was required to fight against All For One back in those days when he was at the height of his power. When Bakugo and Deku wonder what will be the next quirk that Deku will need to master, All Might reveals that it will be his master's quirk. His master was, of course, Shigaraki's grandmother, Nana Shimura, and the name of her quirk was Float. As the name suggests, this quirk allowed Nana to basically float in midair, although we can't be sure if she was able to straight up fly through the air at great speeds like, say, Superman, or if she was able to just kind of hover above the ground. When he hears this, Bakugo is not impressed at all. He says that he can already float using his explosions, so this just means that Deku is going to have to waste his time learning to do something that Bakugo already knows how to do. Bakugo finds this to be an exciting prospect since it will give him a chance to pull ahead of Deku in terms of skill and ability. While Deku is busy trying to master a skill that Bakugo has already mastered, Bakugo will have time to work on other skills and pull ahead of Deku in terms of overall ability. But Bakugo's rivalry with Deku aside, if you've been paying attention to the last few arcs of the Boku no Hero story, then you know exactly why the ability to float could prove to be extremely useful for Deku. In fact, this ability could save Deku's life. Don't forget that Shigaraki recently awakened his own quirk, Decay, and Decay now allows him to quickly destroy not only the objects or people that he touches, but also everything and everyone who is physically connected to his intended target. So, for example, if Shigaraki decides to use his quirk on the street, he could disintegrate everyone who happens to be on the street at that time. He could also disintegrate the buildings and other objects that are located on that street, and so on. Put simply, if you are in physical contact with anything that is in physical contact with Shigaraki's target, his decay can spread to you and destroy you. If you have the ability to float up into the air, then you will no longer be connected to the street or anything else that Shigaraki's quirk may be targeting. And that means that you will be safe from the rapidly spreading destruction of Shigaraki's newly awakened quirk. So with that said, we know that even just being able to float in midair would be extremely useful and potentially life-saving for Deku in a battle against Shigaraki. But if Nana's quirk also allows her to move freely through the air on top of just floating, then Deku will basically become Superman. He would have super strength, super speed and agility, and he would have the ability to fly. If that were the case, I'm not sure how I feel about it, to be honest. I always thought that the modern iteration of Superman was too OP. While most other heroes have one special ability, Superman pretty much has them all. So I wouldn't want Deku to become that broken, but we will have to wait and see what happens. As Class 1A celebrates New Year and the start of the final semester of their first year at UA, All Might and Aizawa have a brief discussion outside in the cold. Aizawa confirms that next week he will begin training Eri to control her quirk, and All Might offers to help. The two teachers then discuss All Might's perspective on life and how he now feels helpless. He wishes that he could help the students even more and be there for them, but in his current state, and being retired rather than an active duty pro hero, there is only so much that All Might can do. He had grown accustomed to being able to accomplish virtually anything, and he was recognized throughout the country as the greatest hero and the symbol of peace. But now, the situation has changed, and All Might finds it difficult to adjust. But Aizawa tells All Might that just by being alive and being here for the students, he is giving them the strength and motivation to succeed. All Might be retired now and much weaker than he was before, but his incredible heroic deeds are still widely recognized and celebrated. He is still a source of inspiration for so many people, so even though he is weaker, he is by no means useless. As the conversation between the two teachers ends, we learn that Tsukauchi asked either All Might or Aizawa to tell the other that they will have to postpone their plan to visit Stain. It was unclear to me which of the characters was speaking at this time, so it's either All Might was planning to visit Stain for some reason, or Aizawa was. Since All Might and Tsukauchi are in regular contact and Aizawa is currently interested in any information he could find on Kurogiri, it would make sense to me that Aizawa was the one who wanted to meet with Stain and see if he learned anything about Kurogiri in his interactions with the League of Villains. But it could also be that All Might wants to speak to Stain for some unspecified reason. We don't get any more information than that, so we don't know why one of them wants to meet with Stain, and we also don't know why the visit has to be postponed. But I have to say that I do like the fact that Stain is being mentioned again. It's been a while since we've heard anything from him or about him. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, we witness a time skip occur as the cherry blossoms begin to sprout, and we find ourselves in late March, which is roughly 3 months later. We see the mysterious and sinister villain Dr. Daruma Ujiko walking the halls of a hospital. One of the nurses recognizes him, but she behaves as if Ujiko hasn't been to the hospital in some time. The doctor is apparently a rare sight at the hospital, which makes sense since we know that he's been quite preoccupied with his freelance research. But it seems that despite his extracurricular activities, Ujiko is still an active doctor and he is still recognized by the nurses at the hospital. Not long ago, Oboro mentioned the hospital as a clue to Aizawa and Present Mike about what really happened before he lost consciousness. So it is safe to assume that Ujiko's presence at the hospital now could be related to these recent events about Kurogiri. It's clear that Kurogiri must have been created by All For One and Ujiko, and the confirmation that Ujiko still has active access to the hospital proves that he would have had access to Oboro's body back when he was injured and seemingly killed. I say seemingly because it could turn out that he wasn't really dead, just on the brink of death. But if all of this wasn't enough in terms of twists and drama, the final page of chapter 257 offers yet another shocking twist. The final page says, "That day, heroes vanished from the city." That's a pretty crazy way to end a chapter, and potentially a massive development. What exactly do these words mean? How and why did all of the heroes from a major city vanish? The craziest answer would be that all of the heroes have been eliminated by the villains thanks to Shigaraki's new power, which he received after undergoing Ujiko's crazy procedure. And now that Ujiko has decided to make a public appearance at the hospital, it must mean that he is ready to put his master plan into action. If all the pro heroes in an entire major city were somehow eliminated, then we're looking at a villain attack of epic proportions. Something that will completely change the game in the Boku no Heroes story. Since the students of UA are not technically considered pro heroes, we can assume that they would still be safe in this scenario. But even if that is the case, the idea that the villains would be able to eliminate all the pro heroes inside a major city would move us way beyond anything we've seen before. It would be the start of an all-out war between the Hero Society and the Paranormal Liberation Front. This would not be just any villain attack or action. The Japanese government would not be able to ignore something like this, and the entire Hero Society would have to declare war on the villains. But as epic and game-changing as that would be, we have to acknowledge that the fact that the heroes vanished may not mean that they were all literally killed. It could also mean something else, such as the villains creating a massive diversion outside of the city that forces all of the heroes to respond and leave the city unguarded. Then, having lured the heroes away from the city, the villains could then proceed to make some major evil move inside the city itself. If we think back to Tsukauchi's message that the visit to Stain in Tartarus prison would have to be postponed, we might even be looking at a major prison break taking place. The kind of massive prison break that could force as many heroes as possible to respond and leave an entire city unprotected. But whatever is about to happen, there is no doubt that it will be big. Shigaraki has successfully completed Ujiko's procedure, and Ujiko is convinced that the procedure worked and that Shigaraki has become his masterpiece. This occurred back in chapter 255. So knowing how strong Shigaraki is now, knowing that All For One and Ujiko have been plotting something big for a long time, knowing that Hawks has also been plotting something for a very long time, and knowing that the Paranormal Liberation Front is now stronger than ever, it is safe to assume that we are about to transition into a major hero versus villain war arc. Probably the first true war arc in the Boku no Heroes story. I'm extremely excited about this, and also kind of scared that some of our favorite characters might actually die in this arc, but we'll have to wait and see. Let me know what you guys think. How do you feel about the reveal of Nana's quirk, Float? And do you think that it just allows the user to hover in the air, or does it allow them to fly through the air at will? Also, what do you think that the final page of chapter 257 really means? What is Ujiko up to, and where did all the heroes go? Be sure to give me your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more Boku no Hero content right here on the channel, please leave a like to let me know, it really does help. And if you happen to be new to AnimeUproar, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications. Feel free to hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at AnimeUproar. And a big thank you to all of our AnimeUproar patrons for making videos like this one possible. With all the YouTube problems lately, patron support is more important than ever, so thank you guys so much. Special thanks to all of our Pro Hero tier patrons, including the one and only Gilgamesh, Nothing But a Fan, Jason Wilson, King Zeldris, $50 Beat, Anatoly Kazatsky, Alpha Dio, Angel Cruz, Team Sparky 65, Cricket XP, Rohan Kapoor, Jessica Maloney, and Emperor Otaku. And I can't forget the ones that rise above all other clans. A massive thank you to all of our The One tier patrons, including Ingrata, Alolanada, Makoto-kun, The World, Steelers, The School Bus, and Tyson Quirino. If you enjoy our work and you feel that it provides value to you, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Even a single dollar will give you access to our patron exclusive Discord, and your name will appear on our videos along with these legendary people. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys.